Now, an audio company by the name of Ambient Dynamics just made their first set of IEMs and they sent it out to me to review. Let's talk about it. Alright, now disclaimer. They of course did send this out to me for review, but this won't affect my review in any way, shape, or form. Everything you're going to hear here will be my own personal opinion. Now, another disclaimer, of course, this is going to be more of a gaming review. I'll be talking about how well these perform in games, and it's going to be less of an audiophile review. While I will touch on some audiophile aspects, it will be in how they pertain to how well they perform in games. So, that being said, let's get started. Starting with the packaging, it's quite nice with its sturdy plastic cover, which then reveals the box, which has this lovely golden designs all over it, as well as the company name and logo. Open up the box and checking under the envelope, we'll find a nice carrying case, which I would assume has our IEMs inside them. The carrying case is quite nice, having one of those fancy zippers that have the little finger loop tabs, which makes it really easy to access the zipper. That's it. If we unzip the case and crack it open, we will find the rest of the contents, which include the IEMs, of course, and a little plastic case which actually contain our ear tips, and not just silicone tips but also nice foam tips, as well as a little brush to keep things clean. With all that, we also have this little magical envelope which contains some paperwork that I'm probably never going to read. Now onto the main product itself. Let's start with the cable. It's one of those really nice cables that are 100% oxygen free copper and are fancily braided, which helps prevent kinking and tangling. The cable ends in a nice metal housed 3.5mm jack, has an equally nice and matching metal splitter with a chin slider that's made of rubber so that it'll grip to the positions that it's been moved to. At the IEM end, the cable does use pre-curled hooks and also uses 2-pin connectors, which have a nice and firm fit. The IEMs themselves are really light and seem to be made with a really high quality plastic. I do know for sure that they're made with a very accurate medical grade 3D printing, and it shows. Anyway, on each IEM is Ambient Dynamics logo in gold, and on the side there's more etchings in gold. And if we look at the rest of the shell, it seems like the IEMs are made to have a unibody ergonomic design, as there are no deep seams even along the stem, so we can expect this IEM to be very durable. And of course we also get a metal grill to keep your nasty earwax out. For those with a sense of vanity, here's how they will look like on your head. They are a bit on the larger side, so they do protrude just a little bit, but not much at all. So you're gonna look fine from the sides and the front. Comfort wise, while the IEMs seem to be a bit on the larger side, I found them personally to be very comfortable in my ears. And I think they'll be comfortable for most people as long as your ears aren't on the small side. As for a mic, there is no mics, but you can always just get another 2-pin cable for that. Now, Ambient Dynamics is a newer company with the goal of bringing really high quality audio and bringing that down to a more affordable level for like new people and, you know, current existing experienced audiophiles alike. And so far with their first IEMs, I'd say they're doing a really good job. During my usage, I found the sound to be very engaging and pretty detailed. At the low end, the bass has pretty good range into the deep end, and the sound is very full and very forceful. So that force and body in the punch makes it go from very punchy to being very thumpy. Very thick, powerful bass, which is really nice. Now when it comes to the mids are very detailed but also very forward, and this can make them come off as being rather intense, which honestly is really good for games. A little bit more on that later. That said, when it comes to the highs have a lot of clarity. They're very clear and they have a pretty good range up ahead, and from what I've noticed is they're also a little bit forward along with the mid, so you get an overall very detailed sound. Something I've noticed, like when it comes to the overall sound of this like set of IEMs, is they want you to hear every little bit, which is honestly really good. And as you can imagine, this plays out very well in competitive shooter games. With the sound being quite forward and engaging, anything and everything you need to hear is very much there, from gunshots to explosions to footsteps and various different textures of what they could be walking on, thanks to the very detailed sound. And this all played very well with the soundstage, which is larger than usual for an IEM, and I think it's actually even larger than the soundstage of my Moondrop Arias, making the stage not too big for competitive shooters and not too small to be immersive. While the stage is fairly wide and deep for an IEM, I do wish it had a little bit more height for the imaging to work with. Even then, in games, the imaging was pretty okay. I didn't have trouble finding anything that I needed to find, and that's basically where it counts. That said, while not super mega pinpoint accurate, I'd say it's still pretty accurate. The overall very forward and detailed sound of these guys makes them very analytical and very good for competitive games, but this doesn't mean it also makes them like not good for less competitive games where it's more about the atmosphere and the world, because I did find the sound of these guys to be very immersive when it comes to like the whole world of the game. Like when compared to my Moondrop Arias, the Moondrop Arias are definitely more laid back than the Lyndale AD-006s, and the sound is very enjoyable, and it's good for competitive, it's good for environmental, and it's just there for you to chill and let you know, like, yeah, you know, you're in this environment. If it's raining, it's like, yeah, you know, it's raining outside in the game. Whereas on these guys over here, the AD-006s, it lets you know you are in a rainy environment, so it pulls you into the world. Whereas with the Arias, you slowly like fade into the world where you're just like, ah, yes, now I am in the world. Where these guys just bring you straight in, and you are in the world pretty quickly. So I'd say these are also really good for just overall. But I should note that these do come off as very intense, and I know for some people that could be a little bit fatiguing over long periods of time. At the $200 now and $250 later when the sale ends for these guys, I do think it's actually not bad, because the sound you're getting out of this is something you would expect from something that usually costs a lot more. So right now, I do think Ambient Dynamics is on a really good track, though I do hope to see that maybe like their next set would have a more relaxed sound, because not everyone's going to be very into a very forward sound. Granted, the very forward detailed sound and analyticalness of this set of IEMs does make sense, because they are going for a studio grade sound, so you want to be able to hear all that as you're like mixing your music and whatnot, if you're doing that kind of studio work. Anyway, that's enough rambling for me today. So if this video did help you out at all, do leave me a like. It helps me out in this whole algorithm space. Subscribe for more content, hit the notification bell so you know when I'm posting next. Also, let me know, like, would you pay $200 for an IEM? Would you pay more for an IEM? Because I know I would. I've been wanting like some campfire audio stuff, and that stuff can hit like over $1,000 for a really good set. But you know, I know some of you guys don't want to pay any more than $100. Let me know in the comments, because that also helps me in the whole algorithm space. Anyway, I'm also doing some streaming stuff, trying to figure that stuff out. It's gonna be down in the description, just down right over there. So that being said, that's pretty much all I have today. So I'll see you back in the bus. See you guys next time.